Hey everybody, it's Joe Stunner from Joe Stunner Boxing. Good to speak to you again. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, share the videos. All support is always appreciated. I always start the video by saying that, but I really mean it. It's sincere. If you could subscribe and share the videos, it's great. Thank you very, very much for your support. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about this sort of modern day fetish that a lot of boxing fans have with fighters being undefeated. Now, there's no doubt that if a fighter is undefeated, there is a slight mystique about them. It's a very good hook on which to hang the promotional side of a fighter's career. You know, the ring announcer will always say he is 16 wins, 12 KOs, no defeats. And immediately the crowd think, ooh, no defeats, must be good. On paper, it always looks impressive. But is being undefeated really that important? I would argue it isn't. Not really. Not if we're talking about genuine fighters having proper careers where they establish a legacy. Okay. So let's take, for example, a few of the all-time greats. Sugar Ray Robinson finished his career with 19 defeats. Henry Armstrong had, I think, 21 defeats. No one who knows anything about boxing is going to say, either of those two fighters don't belong in the pound for pound rankings, the best of all time. In the modern day world, Dillian Whyte has 2 defeats. Joshua has 2 defeats. Does it matter that much? Not in my eyes, because they've taken on all comers. And if you take on all comers and you don't pick and choose and you don't actively seek to protect that 0 on your record, inevitably at some point you're going to come a cropper and you're going to lose. In the case of Joshua and Whyte, they've avenged one of their defeats. They both have. But probably the best modern example I can think of a fighter who has come back from defeats and has not allowed them to hinder him in any way, and who has not been handed any advantages in terms of promotion or having a highly influential manager, anything of that description. The best example I can think of is David Avanesyan, the Russian fighter who recently signed with Frank Warren. I think he signed a multi-fight deal with Frank Warren. But up to that point, he was forever the B-side, the guy brought in to lose, the guy with the statistically decent record. But we were going to bring him in to fight our guy and he was going to lose. But, give him some work. And because he's got a statistically good record, the home fighter can say, hey, look who I beat. Now, Avanesyan first came to my attention when he beat a totally over the hill Shane Mosley. That was Mosley's last fight. Beat him on points and won an interim WBA title, one of the many. But then he lost a 12-round decision to, let me think, who was it now? I can't remember who it was to. One of you will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. And the fight after that, he lost to Kavaliauskas, big punching guy. I think he stopped him in 6 rounds. Was it Lamont Peterson he lost the decision to? And then he fought Kavaliauskas and got 6 rounds. It got done in 6 rounds, I think that was. So he's got these back-to-back defeats, Avanesyan. And his career is, by modern standards, at a crossroads. In the old days, it would be, he lost a couple of fights, no big deal. You move on. But he's at the crossroads in modern terms. What does he do? He goes to Spain. He fights the undefeated, hard-punching Kerman La Raja and defeats him in his backyard. Knocks him out in 10 rounds, was it? Wow. Big result, because La Raja was being groomed for big, big things. He then repeats the trick by going back over to Bilbao, again in La Raja's backyard, does him in a round. wow. Suddenly the Spanish are thinking, this Russian guy's good. So they invite him back and he does another of their guys in a round. So he's really picking up, on the back of those 2 defeats, he's picking up some good wins. Some good wins. It then comes to Britain, and eventually, after much cancellation, fights Josh Kelly, who is the red-hot favourite, being groomed for stardom. Beats him up and stops him in, was it 6 rounds? I think it was 6 rounds. And more recently, beat Liam Taylor. That was only a few weeks ago. So he had those 2 defeats back to back. But did they really matter? Clearly not. Did he learn from them? I would say so. I would say he picked up a lot of experience by fighting an American, losing on points. Lamont Peterson, established fighter, former world champ. Then he fought Kabalowskis. That didn't work out. Got stopped, but it's experience. He's a road warrior. He goes anywhere. I'm talking about Avanesian. He goes anywhere. So this guy is, I suppose the obvious expression is, a throwback. And to me, he perfectly illustrates that to be undefeated, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad achievement. Mayweather did it, Calzaghe did it, Marciano, but so did Sven Otka. And anyone who knows anything about Sven Otka's career knows that he was not a great fighter. He received several decisions that were horrendous. The one against, what's the British guy's name who fought Calzaghe? His name escapes me. It's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Terry Marsh, retired undefeated. Would you call Terry Marsh a great fighter? Okay, he's a good fighter, but great? Worthy of the Hall of Fame? No. No. So we need to be careful about this 0 at the end of someone's record. I don't think it's that important. You learn from your mistakes, from your defeats. If you can be in tough fights and still win and learn that way, great. But a defeat, it's not the end of the world. And I think David Avanesian is a perfect example of that. Absolutely perfect. Road warrior who's come good. And don't forget, of course, Marvin Hagler is another one who had a couple of defeats on his record early on. Did the whole Philly circuit, picked up a couple of decisions. Some people say he got robbed. I don't think so. I think they were tight decisions and they went against him, but he avenged them. But you can't say he didn't learn fighting all those Philly guys, So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments section. Do you think an O is important or not? How do you think fighters learn? Give me some examples of other fighters who've come back from bad defeats. Lennox Lewis is another one. Knocked out twice, came back. Yeah, so leave your comments, your thoughts in the section down below. And yeah, it's Friday, the weekend's here, so you have a good one. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.